action kind of set pieces, which was the most difficult to pull off?
I think the most difficult to pull off was actually getting the motorcycle in the water. It rode really well when the water was kind of calm, but when the ocean got really rough, the motorbikes in the water just were having so much trouble. So stunt guys were going down, bikes were coming out in the bottom of the ocean. So that was the most difficult from a logistical standpoint.
And what was the best day on set? What was the day that you were like, this is incredible?
The best day on set was also in that motorcycle sequence where Vin, there's a scene where Vin gets that motorcycle, Xander's underwater and comes through. So we had this beautiful Horizon tank out in the Dominican Republic that was out there, and it's basically right on the ocean. And so I just remember sitting in the water all day, kind of looking out and, sitting there looking out and watching the bike kind of come down and going underwater and coming back up. And I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good job. This is a fun job.
So how'd you get involved in this movie?
I guess the old-fashioned way. I went for an audition. My agent set it up, went for the audition, didn't hear anything, thought I hadn't got the part, and I was filming a TV show and I got a phone call. He said, we've got good news and bad news. I said, really? I said, what's the good news? He said, you got the part in XXX. I was like, wow, that's awesome. What's the bad news? He said, you got to get on a plane tomorrow. They start filming on Sunday. So tell your wife you're going to be out of town for the next 2 months. But yeah, it was great.
And how was it? Because obviously I think it must be the biggest thing you've worked on so far.
Oh, massively. I mean, I've done some things, but nothing of this scale. So yeah, the whole experience was, it was awesome. Very challenging, but I learned a lot being around that cast, and the weapons training and the choreography and just everything involved was just, every day was just a lot of fun. I love action, of course. That's why I fight for a living. I love that whole side of things. So going in there every day and doing these fight scenes and blowing people up and shooting people and just things like, it's just great. Just a lot of fun for me.
Meeting Michael Bisping, you would think that he'd be the hardest individual among us, and he's a sweet guy. He's talk about his kids, and everybody's just a good soul and very good vibes on the set.
There's a lot of big stunts and big kind of action set pieces. What was the best thing to film, and what was the most challenging?
The most challenging is just whipping myself back in shape. I just came out of Rogue One where my body was covered, and in this movie, in particular in a scene where needs to be explosive and jumping in the air, kicking people and running around, and it's tough sometimes to maintain rips and in top physical forms. Cutting down on the weight. Not cutting down on weight, because I never really was needed to cut weight, but to be able to have the muscularity, that's pretty tough, with the tough dieting and staying off the food. That was my toughest part. But the most fun part was probably the bike scenes. The bike scene was really fun.
How did you find kind of the bigger action set pieces to do? Because although those things look like a lot of fun, they probably take a lot of time to get right.
Yeah, they're very, very demanding. I mean, the scene where towards the end when me and Tony are taking on basically an army and I throw him through the air, I mean, that took a long time to do because there's not really too much CGI in this. We did those things for real. All the stunts we did, and I did my own, and Tony did his own, and so we go out there and we kick all these people's asses and we do this and that, and then Tony has to run up. I grab him, I fling him through the air. Didn't quite get it right, or the lighting wasn't right, or this wasn't right, or Tony missed this, or I messed up, so we had to do it over and over and over again. And well, it was great. It was challenging. Of course, it was challenging, but it was totally worth it. The final result was more than worth it. And doing that, with it being so challenging, that got me ready for my next fight, because I finished filming that movie and then walked straight into a world title fight and knocked out the world champion in 1 round without doing any training. But it was because of doing things like that, throwing Tony Jaa around all day non-stop.
There are some big stunts. Which was the most difficult to kind of pull off?
Difficult. It's a lot of explosion. Yes. It's explosion. I don't like that. It's the bomb is loud. I don't like. But this movie had to a lot of explosion and a lot of car stunt. Just more dangerous.
So after you finish promoting this, what have you got coming up next?
Yeah, so I've got a TV show that I film pretty soon, in 2 weeks in Toronto. Hopefully, well, I've got a part in the next Gerard Butler movie, Den of Thieves. A couple of other big things in the pipeline in the summer. Hopefully another XXx as well. And we're working on a Netflix season as well. So yeah, a few things in the pipeline. Hopefully 2017 is going to be a big year.
And in terms of UFC, I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm the champ. You know, you're going to defend that belt. You know, so there'll be a fight nestled in amongst all those other things. Hopefully, I'm going to have a very, very busy 2017. I like to be busy. We're working on a fight. Not sure who it's going to be. Not sure when it's going to be. But there will be a fight. There will be a win. I will defend that belt. And yeah, we'll see.
Let me simplify it for you. Kick some ass, get the girl, and try to look dope while you're doing it.